Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Gary Papa, Dave Roberts, and Jim Gardner.
Monday night, a much-needed housing project gets off the ground in Camden, and dramatic courtroom testimony from the confessed accomplice of an accused killer. But the big story in Action News tonight is more money coming to Pennsylvania from Washington. Aid has now been approved for a total of 25 counties, but the governor wants money for another 31. We have pictures today from Harrisburg, which was inundated over the weekend by an overflowing Susquehanna River. Most of the thousands of evacuees are back in their homes tonight, including Governor Ridge, who had to vacate the governor's mansion. But the city and the surrounding area are a mess tonight. Statewide, 14 people have died in the flooding, and the flooding forced the evacuation of 150,000 people. 30,000 homes were destroyed and damaged. 570 roads were closed and 8 bridges were down. Governor Ridge held a news conference today with Federal Transportation Secretary Pena and the head of FEMA. Ridge has been lumping the flooding and the blizzard as one catastrophic event.
From January 7th to the present, municipal cost, individual cost, commercial losses and the like, right now, a quick snapshot, it would put in the $700 million range.
This morning we learned a lot by seeing firsthand the real misery and tragedy that has affected so many people in this state, and that will encourage us to even work harder to get the job done.
Meanwhile, Senators Specter and Santorum toured the hardest hit areas of Harrisburg today with Mayor Stephen Reed. City Island has suffered serious damage, including the stadium that houses the Harrisburg Senators. They're not sure it'll be ready for the start of the season. Specter says the damage isn't as bad as it was after Agnes in 1972, but in Specter's words, it's pretty bad. The Senators also inspected the damage of the Walnut Street Bridge on the historic Shipoke neighborhood of Harrisburg. Meanwhile, the issue of federal disaster aid has turned into a political tiff between Governor Ridge and the White House. White House spokesman Mike McCurry has criticized Governor Ridge for his outspoken barbs directed at the Clinton administration. McCurry has accused Ridge of engaging in a public relations contest when Ridge accuses the federal government of slow and inadequate response to Pennsylvania's needs. McCurry said of Ridge, quote, he ran his mouth instead of getting the work done that would have led to getting the assistance. Well, today, Ridge wouldn't apologize for being what he called aggressive on behalf of Pennsylvanians and said McCurry's not the issue.
Can't deliver any aid. I appreciate what he's doing, but these gentlemen here can, and I don't want to talk to him about me. I want to talk to these gentlemen about Pennsylvania. So we'll work that out.
Federal Emergency Management has added 19 counties to its disaster commitment to Pennsylvania, but still nothing in the southeastern part of the state. There are other severe problems in Pennsylvania. An ice floe trapped a 122-car freight train in Lancaster County. The engineers saw huge blocks of ice raging down the Susquehanna River, climbing over the riverbanks and heading right toward the train. But the engineers disconnected the 2 locomotives and tried to outrun the ice flow. They couldn't. Today, a look from the air revealed that the engines and most of the 122 cars have become embedded in ice. The engineers escaped on foot to call for help. Meanwhile, in Williamsport, Wilkes-Barre, in that area, 34 people are missing in massive flooding, and we'll be going live to Williamsport and Danquoya in just a few moments. We also checked out the cleanup effort in Bucks County today. This is what it looked like in Yardley. Hundreds of homeowners have been pumping water out of their basements, water that came from an overflowing Delaware River. We stopped by the home of Nancy Goldstein, where her basement office was severely damaged and many personal items destroyed.
Floating in mud and water, and it got into the heater, it got into the water heater, and all of the things that we've stored and saved, all our family pictures and books, lots of books.
Farther north, the Red Cross is going door to door in Upper Makefield to survey the damage to homes and to find out what people need.
It could be anything from emergency food, emergency clothing, if people have lost their clothing, new bedding and kitchen supplies. In some cases, it may even extend as far as new boilers and heaters for the household.
The Red Cross actually had to follow a front-end loader to gain access to areas cut off by ice and floodwaters. Central New Jersey, north of Trenton, experienced major flooding and major damage. The governor inspected that area today, and New Jersey correspondent Nora Mushanek was there too.
Governor Whitman was in Frenchtown this afternoon getting a look for herself at the damage caused by the flooding. The water has receded, but river towns like this are still cleaning up after the worst flood in more than 40 years.
There is some real damage, but we were very, very lucky. Another foot or two, and it would have been much more severe.
This is what the river looked like as the ice roared down Saturday night. Today along Old River Road, you can see how the raging river left trees swept over, and the force of the ice chunks literally stripped the bark right off. The flooding tore the foundation from under Paul Nichols' riverfront house. Nearby, Fred Lowe lost a washer, dryer, a car, and other items in his garage.
Well, this is the worst since I've been in this house.
When the water finally receded, Mother Nature left some impressive calling cards, these huge, thick chunks of ice strewn all over the riverbank and in people's yards. Imagine if this had landed in a house.
It's amazing that they didn't come up just a little bit higher. It would have gone right through the windows and smashed everything to bits.
The only way to get to Lewis Island in Lambertville today was by boat. The two buildings on the island had over 6 feet of water inside.
It had such force, it was coming through the windows, that it just probably created a very big eddy and just swirled everything around and knocked everything over.
The footbridge connecting the island to the mainland broke apart during the flood, but the owner says it'll get fixed.
When the water goes down, we'll tear the bridge apart and rebuild it. We have all the parts there, so we just put it back together again.
And while the cleanup continues, victims will get no help from Washington. The governor says FEMA has indicated the flood damage isn't bad enough to qualify for federal dollars. I'm Nora Mushanek, Channel 6 Action News, Lambertville, New Jersey.
Now, a moment ago, we told you about the potential tragedy in Williamsport. At least 35 people are still missing in the flooding there. Action News reporter Dan Cuellar now joins us live from that part of the state. Dan, what's the situation?
Well, Jim, we are in Lycoming Township, about 4 miles north of Williamsport, one of the hardest hit areas of these devastating floods, the worst anyone has seen here since Hurricane Agnes. You can see behind me some of the homes that are just on their sides that were washed by the floodwaters as they moved through this town, filled with trailer homes here in the background area. We understand that 6 people were killed, and tonight officials tell me that somewhere between 35 and 40 people are unaccounted for, still unaccounted for. Here are some of the stories of what some people have been through here.
This side of the house collected about everything that came down. What didn't collect came on this side. I was talking to my neighbor here. My neighbor got lost in the flood. He got killed. He what? He drowned.
Oh, sir, I'm very sorry to hear that.
I was talking to him out that window, and the water was about that high on his patio. About 5 seconds later, I walked to my living room window to look out this way, and there was a car floating right through there where I just seen about 2 inches of water. And there was a car coming through. About 5 seconds, about all longer it took for that water to come through there.
And your wife was with you?
My wife was in the trailer.
And you told her to do
what?
what?
I said, get out, get in the car, and get out of here. And we waited, we were pushing water getting out. The water came down from this way, about a 4 or 5 foot wall of water and ice coming right at us.
Oh my gosh.
We were very lucky to get out ourselves, and he didn't make it.
This evening, rescue workers with bloodhounds were still going around looking for victims of the flooding amidst the ice, water, and debris, but there are still some areas they have not been able to get into. Congressman Joe McDade, who represents this area, tells me while it has been declared eligible for disaster relief, he is concerned that it has not as yet been listed eligible to help with the massive cleanup effort that undoubtedly will run in the millions of dollars. But he says he will continue to push for that along with Governor Ridge. But again tonight, Jim, 6 people killed here, somewhere between 35 and 40 people unaccounted for. We'll have more on that story tonight at 11 o'clock. For now, I'm Dan Cuellar, live on the Action Cam in this township here just north of Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Dan, virtually everyone was evacuated out of the Wilkes-Barre area over the weekend. Are people now back in their homes?
Well, some of them aren't able to get back in their homes, Jim, because as you can see behind me, see this house on its side? That's a good part. Some of these homes are still underwater, and the water has turned into ice about this thick. You don't know if that ice is going to collapse under you, so no one wants to take a chance to try to get into their homes under these conditions.
All right, Dan, thank you. We'll hear from you at 11 o'clock.
Mrs. Clinton has been subpoenaed to appear before a grand jury investigating the Whitewater affair. One of the nation's richest fishing grounds is threatened by an oil spill. And an ABC News investigation into counterfeit U.S. currency. Millions and millions and millions of dollars in circulation.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the Whitewater affair. The First Lady, Hillary Clinton, has been ordered
today, and that allowed people to begin a tough job of cleaning up. 19 more Pennsylvania counties were declared eligible today for federal disaster money. Heavy flood damage also can be found in Ohio and West Virginia and into upstate New York and Vermont. In Atlanta, an icy glaze on the high end. We saw some pretty hefty snow with our blizzard. 30 inches for Boston, 18 in New York, and 22 for Baltimore. That was the snow cover after the blizzard.
Ever championship to the Maulers. I would just like to say that today, I consider you the luckiest team on the face of the earth. And in closing, I'd like to say, I hate you all. I thank no one but myself. As of today, I, Al Bundy, am finished with baseball. MVP.